What was that movie, 10 Things I Hate About You? Well, can I get an amen if you felt this way about your art lately? I think the earth just shook, and not in the good way. You may remember this painting. I used it to give some context to a wet on dry technique in a recent video. The link's below if you want to watch it. It started strong, served its purpose in visually explaining a technique, but by the time I was 3/4 of the way in, I was cursing it. Seriously though, nothing is worse than falling in love and breaking up with a painting all in the confines of an hour. It's a roller coaster ride of self-loathing, paint-covered hands, smudges where they don't belong, and yes, tears. But dear friends, guess what? You can fall back in love and fast. Yep, today is all about one simple hack for reviving a dying painting. And it's the trifecta of joy-filled art making. Number 1, it's simple. Number 2, it's quick. Number 3, it produces a finished piece of art that looks way harder than it was to create. All right, friends, here it is. Grab a black marker, one that you love, do a little sketchy sketch. We're just going over top of some of the flowers. Now, I started with this felt tip paper mate, and it's clearly on its last legs, but it's actually given me a cool effect. You could use a fine line Sharpie. I'm about to grab one because this one is going in the trash. But the idea is to just do a little bit of outlining. I actually like the individual flowers in this painting, just didn't like how it came all together. It felt very scattered, and well, I could wax poetic about all the reasons I really hate this painting, but we don't need to go there. I'm also using a Faber-Castell Pitt pen that has a little bit more of a stiff brush-like tip, and going back and forth. Here comes that Sharpie. Yeah, that's the money. Now, you don't want to necessarily do this all over the place because that could also get a little overwhelming and your eye might not know where to go, but you do you, boo. You know how I roll with this. The idea is to just give some more definition. Often when we are disappointed with our paintings, it has to do with a lack of definition or depth. And so a black pen can do wonders to bring that back. I remember my dear art teacher growing up. I've talked about her before, Sue Hand, and she would openly invite us to use this technique. It wasn't a shameful thing. It wasn't a failure. It was seen as an opportunity to turn around a painting that otherwise wasn't holding its own as it stood in the moment. And I love that about her. She was a purist. She was an artist who won all the awards and did all the fancy things that a watercolorist, quote unquote, should do. But she encouraged us to be brave and bold and just roll with the punches artistically. All right, friends, I'm gonna speed this up a little bit so you can see how this piece of the watercolor reviving hack worked out. Now, I mentioned that I love this little trick, hack, whatever you want to call it, because it's easy. And here is the number one reason why I think this is easy. You're following the marks you've already made. So what do I mean by that? I'm not reinventing any shapes here. I'm just exaggerating the brushstrokes, the lines that are already on the page. So this can become a very relaxing exercise at this point, because really, what have you got to lose? If you screw it up worse, who cares? But you actually have a whole lot to gain. And here we go with the Faber-Castell Pitt pen. It's a thicker pen. It's a newer one, so it's nice and juicy. And I'm literally just going in between. I'm going into the negative space. Now, there isn't a ton of big negative space areas in this painting, but that's okay. That actually makes your work a lot easier. This is glorious, friends. Within about 10 strokes, you can already see the difference. This bad boy is coming back to life. A couple of things I want you to think about as you're choosing exactly how to fill in the negative space with this black marker. Number one, you don't need to completely fill in the entire background. You're gonna see as I work here, there are some areas where I create little stems by leaving the white of the paper showing through, and that just adds more interest overall. Number two, you now have the opportunity to change the shapes of some of the brushstrokes you've already made. So for example, in the middle there, that daisy, dahlia-like looking flower, there were some petals, especially on the bottom edge, that I just thought looked kind of awkward. They were too wide, too loopy, I don't know. But when I started adding the black around them, I was able to cut in and change their shapes by what I was covering with the black marker. Number 3, you can work fast. Something happens to your whole disposition when you're just coming off of a painting experience that is less than ideal. You're exhausted mentally and maybe physically. The nice thing with this technique is that you're going to get wow results without a ton of effort. So don't overthink it. Just get in there, go with your gut at this point, and see what happens. Okay, let's head into comments and tell me if you had a moment where I kind of blew your mind a little bit with this one. Is this one freaking you out? Are you like ready to dive into your pile of throwaway paintings and revive them all? Like, where are you at with this one? And just a reminder, I love conversation. I reply to all comments. It takes me a little bit longer these days, but I do get to all of them. So bring it on, friends. And if you're getting something out of this video today, and I really hope you are, would you give this video a boop? It really helps out my channel, and I'm always so grateful for that. Okay, as I'm wrapping this up, I decided to kind of fade the black out to white and not fill in everything as I kind of go from the bottom right-hand corner up to the top left-hand corner. And I'm adding in some just dots and dashes and lines and squiggles and sketchy moments. And oh my gosh, friends, I have to say, I've taken a painting that I absolutely loathed. Wow, I just had like a Jim Carrey Grinch moment. Anywho, to a painting that I actually am like adoring right now. And so, friends, if I could tell you anything, I'll tell you this. You always have an opportunity to turn things around. I hope this video is the video that you'll always remember. The one that gives you hope and, more importantly, confidence. And you're like, wait, what is she talking about? I thought we were talking about a hack. Hear me. When you know that ultimately there's always a way to turn around a bad situation in your art, you gain tremendous confidence. And that's what today was about, friends. So go forth, make some more art. Bad paintings be damned, because clearly we've just determined that there's no such thing, right? Maybe you're not a fan of black, so check out this one where I used a bunch of color in a background to revive a painting that was a little bit lackluster. And friends, until next time, happy painting.